Just just a note, we have a sign-up sheet we'll have on the podium table right out here in front if anybody wants to sign up. As I've been directed, last call on the sign-in sheet. Miss Abby Day has got it. It's sitting there. We're not turning your mic on either. Hey, great. Let's get started. 12:30, right on the spot. And thank y'all for being here and indulging us in this time change. And because I know some of y'all want to get home. Mr. Corbett, how long does it take you to get home?
4 hours with no traffic.
4 hours, no traffic. So we're going to get.
We need the pink fast lane extended all the way to Macon.
Where's Josh? It would just take a wave of a magic wand, wouldn't it, Chairman? Yep, just a little money. Well, hey, well, just great to have you all here. Thank you for being here and making sure we have a quorum for this to get started with today. And to start us off, I want to ask Danny Mathis from Cochran to give us a blessing.
Father, we come to you and we thank you. Thank you for the wisdom of our chairman to move this to 12:30 on Thursday. That's a great thing. But Father, seriously, help us to make good decisions for Georgia. It's so important. With all the obstacles we have in the way of things, help us to find ways to bridge gaps and to do the things that will help Georgians move and save lives and do things that the state needs to do with commerce. Father, we just thank you for all the folks that are represented here and help us to be wise and seek your guidance. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Now, how long does it take Danny Mathis to get home?
Hour and 30 minutes.
Hour and 30 minutes. Okay, good.
We can keep him to at least 6:30.
Oh, my. I didn't hear any comment there, but Chairman. But, yeah, we're just glad. I want to just start off by recognizing some new members. You know, I spoke to the Georgia Chamber of Commerce on Sunday, and then getting ready for that, I kind of did a little calculating, Transportation Committee. So did y'all know that 20% of the General Assembly is on this committee? 35 members. It's room full. And there will be some times and some bills that may come through this committee that we may have to move to a different room. But that's just great. I'm glad so many people want to. And if you were at the Transportation Summit reception last night, you know, recognizing just the backbone of transportation, of who they are and what they are, to recognize you too, it was just great to be there. And thanks for many of y'all for attending. It's pretty good. And the update prior to it, I think, was very important for it. But let's start off with our new members. Now, our vice chairman out there, this lovely lady right here, Miss Lisa Hagan, and she's going to look forward to working with us and learning, and especially getting to learn you guys out there in the audience and who you are and what you do for us. Our secretary is Derek McCollum, and next is Charlize Bird. Y'all know Charlize for sure. Joe Campbell on the wind down there. Lauren Daniel, one of the two freshmen on our committee. Mac Jackson, my friend Mac. Mac, I'm so glad you bring your wisdom to our committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad you're here with us. Lauren McDonald, wisdom, well, okay. And then, no, I'm in the Forsyth delegation with him, so I had to have a little light here. You know, and Michael Smith, glad Michael's with us. Bruce Williamson is somewhere else, and that is our new members. But the rest of you members, we really appreciate all of y'all. I mean, we don't take on a lot of bills, but we take on some mighty bills. And that meeting yesterday was just great. I want to recognize some other folks. Now, where's Madison? Stand up, Madison. Madison is our new admin. Now, she's, if you ever hear me talk about her, I said she's Madison with one D, because all of y'all know Madison Hendershot with two Ds. So, Georgia Southern graduate, was very excited to see the Eagle last week. I know y'all enjoy meeting her and trying to find me, and as you need to. But we thank you for being here and working with us.
If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Don't hesitate.
Yeah, it's good about trying to keep up. And see, she shares Chairman Ballinger and I, and we share the office together. She's working great, along with our intern, McKay. We appreciate you, McKay, learning, he said in a pretty intense meeting this morning with Revenue and me, and he said, I've never heard so many words I didn't know what they meant in my life. But he's a well-educated man, and it was pretty intense. But I look forward to you to be around and helping us and helping this committee. Yeah, and especially new members, we have a great attorney in legislative council. Miss Jenna over here, she's still smiling, and that's good. If you know, legislative council in the next 2 weeks gets under a lot of pressure, and we really appreciate them and what they do. Thank you, Miss Jenna. I've got a bill for you, and the second try. And then Josh Waller. I kind of count him as, committee as part of our committee. Josh hangs out there in our office a lot, doesn't eat our candy anymore. He's on a diet. Good for him. I didn't tell too much, right? But members, especially new members, you heard yesterday, Josh is an invaluable relay and contact for you and your district, and he'll make you look good. And that's the thing I appreciate about Josh, is always on call for us to help us. One thing as we move along, oh, wait. I have a name here in red. Why is it in red? I don't know. Abby Day, you're fabulous.
As are you.
No. I mean, you say her name, it's just such a reverence, because really Abby knows transportation funding. Chairman Perkle will tell you that you're just the one, and we appreciate you so much. This summer we had an electric vehicle study committee. We worked very hard, met all over the state. We recognized Chairman Corbett was part of it. It was assigned, but I took the pleasure to add 2 additional members from transportation to that group, Brad Thomas and Spencer Fry, and met 6 times all across the state, had really great input. We're working on a bill right now, and both of them have been working on it. We've shared it with everybody, and you'll see that hopefully in the next week or 2. We'll send a report out. The report is 730 pages long, because they took every slide and every testimony and printed it all down. So it's, the only real true pages, and I'll go over it next meeting, is what we talked about in the recommendations. But it was very involved, and it was a great meeting, don't you think, Chairman Corbett? And so we appreciate that. So next, let's see. Oh, yeah, Senator Gooch and I, So what we got to do today, you got your agenda, the 3 things we're going to work on. The first one we need to do is look at the rules that were sent to you yesterday. Anybody has not came to me with any questions, and the House leadership kind of put they're different than last year's, because we had some model legislation to go along with it, and we added some to it. Chairman Corbett?
At the proper time,
At
I'd
the
like to
proper
make a
time,
motion.
okay, so I do need a motion.
Proper time, I'd make a motion, we approve them as submitted here in the
Do
folder.
I have a second? Got it. So any discussion? Anybody have any questions about the rules that we sent out yesterday? Okay, none heard. All those in favor of accepting the rules as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? They pass. Yay, thank you. Now you'll notice the one big key thing in here is that the quorum goes way down. For this meeting, you had to have, 16 folks, and we certainly met that, thanks to y'all. But it goes down to 7. And people ask me why, Chairman. I said, because when Brian Prince needs 7 people to get here to vote on that road naming bill, we need 7 people. And it's a tough day, because it's right there at the very end, and we work very hard to get that done. The rules for road naming. You'll see them there. They're sent out yesterday. Their only change was, what did we change that one?
2 years.
2 years. If you look about halfway down the page where it says no resolution may dedicate or create a new name for a new road facility in honor of a living person who previously held office unless at least 2 years. It used to be 5. Now it's 2, and just to line us up with the Senate. And that's the only change for our road naming. So I have a motion to accept the road naming rules. I've got to have a motion first. You'll second that. We got a motion to accept and a second. Thank you. Any discussion, any questions on them? Hearing none. All those in favor, aye. Okay, any opposed? None. They pass as done. And what we'll do, Abby has created a beautiful, now last year, you know, she put out this beautiful thing, you know, but this year,
It's condensed.
it's condensed and very accurate, and we'll be presenting that to all membership next week on the floor. And take a little time to read these and kind of learn them, because they're going to come up to you and ask you. And they're going to ask a lot of unusual questions. And what I found is you can certainly send them to who? Abby. 13, Chairman Prince.
Thank you, Chairman Jaspers. And on this rope, please take a picture of this, put it on your phone, and pass it around. Because I know you're going to leave this sheet somewhere else, and then you're going to come back calling on Abby. But if you have this sheet, a picture on your phone, you can share it with all the other members. So when it comes time to get their roads named, they have everything they need in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it's a great honor to get to do this. And it's a neat thing about this committee, and that we do name quite a few roads for Georgians that should be. Okay, next up, you know, I'm just real quick on other bills that we're working on, and then we'll get to House Bill 52. You know, we're working on an electric vehicle bill, and it's electric vehicle charging. You know, our main goal in that bill is to make sure that we capture all we can of electricity used in transportation and sell it by the kilowatt hour that can be measured, and then we attach the excise tax to it. You know, because our main goal with that is to make sure that our road and bridge fund dollars stay intact as electric vehicles move in and more people adopt them. Now, it was as we found during the study committees, a lot of different opinions, and I'll kind of go through all that next week, but just all the different parts. But that's one bill. GDOT will have another bill that they're working on to get passed. Well, they got it okayed, we just got to get it done. We'll look at freight and logistics funding, and that's a potential bill. There's nothing written in stone yet, but you know, this committee and members of the committee have met and looked at freight and logistics for the last 3 or 4 years, and what can we do funding-wise to increase funding by fee or whatever, many different ways, so that we can address the freight logistics issues around our state. I mean, last night when I was looking out over the downtown, roads were packed, but they're packed where you're at too. If you're in southeast Georgia, southwest, northwest Georgia, we've got really traffic issues that we need to address that the current budget will not address. There'll be soon released a freight and logistics study done by our state planning director that'll really spell that out to you, and we'll have her come explain it to you so you can explain it to other members. And then also we'll look at truck weights. I hear there's a bill coming. I haven't seen it, and that'll be on down the road that you'll get a lot of fun to talk about, for new members especially. So next up, House Bill 52. And you'll find that new members, I try not to waste your time in a meeting and try to keep things moving. This particular bill, as Representative Brad Thomas was going to present, went through both sides, got hung up on at the end on sine die, and unfortunately. So you see a number of these. You've heard about them already on the House floor and in other committees, bills that didn't make it through, and this was one of them. And without further ado, Representative Thomas. Oh, excuse me.
To just comment to Chairman Jaspers, it sine died, so it did not make it.
I believe that's an original comment. I've never
Is
heard
it?
that
Is it?
before.
Is that
I've
original?
never heard that before.
All right. So, good. I started on a creative note. That's a good thing. So today I present House Bill 52. The LC number is 393590. So just make sure everybody has that. To give a little more history on this bill, basically what this is a combination of House Bill 1438 and Senate Bill 558 from the previous session. Sections 1 through 3, 5, and 6 were all pulled from House Bill 1438, and Section 4 was pulled from Senate Bill 558. And as the chairman said, actually both of these bills have been vetted. They went through this committee. They were passed by this committee. I actually back-checked and looked at the House vote. It was House Vote 663 last session, and everybody that's in here actually voted for it on the floor too. So that's was here last year. So like I said, it's been well vetted. I'm just going to kind of do a quick walkthrough section by section. Section 1, instead of physical mail, it requires notification for legislative council to legislators for call of a board election via email. So it catches us up to like 1995. So Section 2, lines 46 and 47 are technical, really a technical correction to the bill. It replaces request for proposals with request for proposal revisions. And that's just to make it very clear that, during that process, as the GDOT is working through and trying to look through proposals, sometimes they'll have to ask for a revision to the proposal. So instead of going through the whole proposal process again, they can just ask for a revision. So that takes care of that. Let's see, Section 3. This is the alternative contracting methods section. The section just provides clarifying some cleanup language, reaffirming department's authorized rulemaking to implement these procurements. Line 55, 56, 59, and 61.2 provide further clarification the statute's original intent. That's to apply the restrictions on contract value and frequency to the CMGM or alternative contracting process. Section 4 is one of my favorite ones. We added 4 feet to the modular sectional housing units. So that's just to give us a little bit more feet. And my understanding is this is something that Georgia does a little different from everybody else. So everybody else is 84. We're going to 80. We're at 80. Section 6 is has to do with that. And this is a big one. It makes it absolutely clear that no one can abuse the Open Records Act to try and get personal information about a driver's location. Keep going here. Did I skip a section?
5.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Section 5, this actually grants further ability for a county medical examiner to delegate their authority to qualified personnel in the field at the site on the accident, which, it causes significant disruption of flow of traffic. So the aim of this is to delegate I'm sorry over here. The aim of this discretion is to delegate due to the reality of the recurring difficulty of medical examiners to access these sites due to backed up traffic. They can't get to the site, and it really further compounds the ability to resolve or clear the scene of an accident and reopen lanes. I did 6. So
If I can interject.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you look
Absolutely,
on
Mr.
line
Chairman.
98, 99, it really limits it to interstate or limited access roads. It's just not just your every county road.
Okay. And Section 7 says it should be approved by the governor.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, what we'll do next, I'm going to guess Josh Waller. If you'll go to the mic, and you have any additional information you'd like to add?
I just say I think he covered it pretty well. It's cleanup items, technical. Again, on the I'll speak to the medical examiner piece. That was something feedback we got. It's particularly in the metropolitan area on the downtown connector, within the vicinity of the urban core on the interstates. Obviously, these medical examiners are doing their very best to try and get there. But when you have all lanes blocked, like everyone else, they have challenges. So it's just giving them an added flexibility with the term may to delegate that. So that's certainly something that we've had, and we've seen more of that in the last year or so, where you've got all lanes impacted in one direction. So it's just trying to provide one more tool in the toolkit to do what needs to be done responsibly, but also ensure that you can get traffic opened up. And otherwise, everything else there is cleanup items. The last piece about open records, and that is just making sure as the amount of data that's collected on us with our cell phones and everything, that data obviously is collected. We want to make sure that no one can use the open records process to get to anyone's personal information or personal travel, either through us, which we don't actually own that, we wouldn't have that data, but the vendors who we would get the anonymized data from might. And so it's just to ensure that the public's private information is protected.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, before we start with questions, Jimmy Cotty from the Manufactured Homes. Tell them about your part, Section 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jimmy Cotty. I'm with the Georgia Manufactured Housing Association. First of all, I do want to thank DOT for working with us on an issue of length for Section 4 is what Chairman Jaspers is referencing specifically. The states around us throughout the Southeast build a little bit bigger box or have the ability to and transport that. This just puts us on par with them, gives us a little extra square footage that we can use when we build our homes. We do have 9 factories in Georgia, so we build them here as well. And just more additional options, affordable housing options for consumers. It's moving air, it's not moving weight. It's about 400 pounds per linear foot on these homes. So we're talking about a negligible amount of weight, and we're way under that weight threshold to begin with. So, but again, thank you to DOT. I worked with them for a long time on a previous life with the concrete guys, and I just can't get away from them. So,
Great. Just
any questions?
I have just a couple of questions. Just as for knowledge for I think the committee and how many folks Georgians are employed by your industry?
Oh man, that's a great question. We have our membership. We have 9 production facilities in the state. Most of them are south of I-16. We do have one in Eatonton, one in Millen. We have retail centers throughout the state. The retail centers are largely independently owned, locally owned, family-owned businesses. And then, of course, numerous communities that we serve, installation companies that place these things for us. They make a fantastic product, very high quality. It's a precision-based process, well-engineered, and I guarantee you most of these homes are probably more energy efficient than most of what we probably live in, and they just make really cool stuff today. Proud to represent them, and if you'd like to talk about affordable workforce housing, I'd be glad to come see you.
That's the word this session, is it not?
Yeah, drink
Housing.
if you hear housing, yeah.
Housing.
Absolutely.
Well, if you'll sit, Josh will scoot over. We'll lead you there, and we'll start asking questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet. Thank you, Jimmy. Number 2, Chairman Prince. I believe that's right. 13. Oh, excuse me.
Hey, going back to that section, thanks for the brief, Representative Thomas. That $30, what is that at the end of Section 4? What on line 79?
Representative Thomas, I can answer that if you'd like me to.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Please.
Hey, we are required to get oversized permits to move these things. So we currently do now at the current size. We'll continue to have to do that. And so any home of this size is going to be permitted and routed appropriately to minimize any damage to roads, communities, things of that nature. So it's a fee that we pay each time we transport a unit.
And that goes to the to the county that you're going to or from? How does that?
I'd defer to DOT. Where do your oversized permit fees go? Or is that a state
That's
control
the
question?
state control? Probably. Okay, thanks.
It'd be through DPS. Goes back to public safety is what Mr. Waller's telling me.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, number 24. Who is that?
That's me.
Oh,
Yeah, I just want to go back to that section 5, like line 92 down through 99, about the coroner or medical examiner giving authority for medical personnel to remove someone at a fatality. I think that's a great move on this part because in today's time you have rubberneckers, folks taking pictures, that type of thing, and when you have time and time and time again that they're coming by. And I've had a case personally where someone found out their loved one died off of a Facebook post. So I think this is going to help, with the traffic congestion not only, but Brad, I just think so much that you did this because there are times when all you got to do is document. Just document where that individual was, what they would, pictures, photographs, that sort of thing. So if State Patrol is involved with the SCIRT team, which is reconstruction, they have the information they need. So for anybody that was worried about something wasn't going to be documented, the investigating officer is going to document everything. Then the coroner's, all he's doing is causing manner of death. So this really helps, and it leaves out that possibility of something like that coming about. So thank you for that.
thank you, Representative. That's great. Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. appreciate you bringing this bill and bringing up the fact that everybody voted for it. That makes our lives easy.
Friendly reminder.
Yes, yes. That's brilliant. But
Okay.
you know, in the time that has passed, I've had folks ask me just a couple questions I want to clarify, and that was a great meeting that we had yesterday. If y'all missed the workshop, I know there's a bunch of freshmen there, but I was there also, and it was informative. So, on line 53, section 3, line 53, it talks about, it's basically a bid process, but it talks about otherwise authorized rules and regulations of the department, which unhooks the department from the code section that regulates the bid process. And so I know this is, I know there's oversight. If you look down in line 61 and 62, the board gives oversight to this, and we have elections coming up, and they were talking about that yesterday in the workshop. Can you just talk about the projects that might qualify for this and the difficulty involved with the bid process on those projects? Just to mollify, I think you guys do a great job. I'm not saying anything, but I've had some questions raised, and I know you can explain it.
If it's all right,
Appreciate that.
Representative, I'll let Josh Waller answer that question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Are you ready?
Just real fast, one, the term or otherwise authorized is because you've got multiple code sections that deal with those different types of alternative contracting methods, as well as another section with like design, build, and P3. And so it's just making sure that it tethers them to those. So it wouldn't allow anything that's not, doesn't grant GDOT any kind of power that's not already enumerated somewhere in those procurement code sections. To the point about, okay, CMGC, and that's where you're bringing a construction manager in at the outset of the project, is a type project. I know we actually had a presentation to our board last week, about the Talmadge Bridge in Savannah, and looking at doing a CMGC on potentially, ways to address the height of the bridge. So where you've got complexity of a project that you need to bring in someone who's going to be building it on the front end to kind of walk through, okay, here are some challenges, here's constructability challenges, here is how we would actually have to get in there and do it. You can build that into the design to get a design that at the end of the day, you don't have to deal with change orders, you don't get out there and have started construction. It turns out that the designers on the front end made an error because they don't have that direct experience with something of that level of complexity. So it makes the most sense only in those instances where there's a level of complexity, or if there's a timing issue where you've got something like with Cortlandt Street where you close that bridge, you need that bridge open as fast as you can. How do you bring people in to make sure that, okay, what do we have to do, incorporate into the design and the methods to be able to deliver it quickly, or to be able to deliver it without any kind of change orders or issues where you're midway through, and it turns out that added insight would have been critical at the design phase.
If I may,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you so much for that explanation, because the change order point is where we spend most of our money. If you're doing any remodel, you do a change order, it's gonna cost you, you're gonna go over budget. And at the scale that y'all are doing, if this avoids change orders, then it's actually, in the end, saving the state money and not taking the regs off. So I appreciate that explanation, and I hope the people that were asking me that question are mollified on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, Chairman Corbett, did you have a question?
Jimmy Gotti, he answered it when he comes to the podium.
Okay, thank you. Okay, lastly, we have a public comment. Neil Herron would like to make a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Neil Herring. I'm a contract lobbyist for the Georgia chapter of the Sierra Club. The Sierra Club is very enthusiastic, along with the governor, over the Georgia's becoming first for electric mobility in the country, maybe in the world, I don't know. But on page 5, lines 104 through 107, the broadening of the exclusion from open records requests, the information, we regard this as a really important step in building public confidence in the data on which vehicle mile traveled financing of transportation costs is going to be based. Right now, we have a fairly low level. People talk Big Brother and all that. And this will help build public confidence in support of the onward development of electric mobility, and really appreciate y'all taking this step now. I don't think we can take these steps too quickly, because we've got a pretty good row to hoe there. The other questions that I have were the ones that were just being discussed. The otherwise authorized rules and regs, being suspicious, I assume, well, that means they could write a new one. And so if you said it was an existing otherwise authorized rules and reg, that would close that door. The other one is a door that I'm afraid you've left open that hurts the department. The board can only majority vote for a single project in a fiscal year. The way it reads now, it could apply once. You get to do it once, and then there's no more budget busted. So you might want to say in a single fiscal year. Just trying to be helpful. Genuinely trying to be
as you are many times.
Well,
I think our electric.
sometimes.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think our electric vehicle thing that you mentioned was just by accident. But that's a good point that I'm glad that you brought up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
y'all's work.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. You said you were prepared to ask that question, and I'm not going to hold back your thunder if you would like to additionally.
I pulled the tech brief
You
from
pull-
the U.S. Department of Transportation regarding alternative contracting method performance in U.S. highway construction. Be happy to read it for you guys. It's about
No.
35 pages. Otherwise, I think really probably the most important part is it's got some pie charts in it, and it talks. This contracting method is really more for more complex projects. And just to hop off what my friend over here at GDOT said, it shortened delivery schedules. It really optimizes risk allocation between the taxpayer and the contractor. It does allow for better controls and estimate certainty, so that way when we do budgeting, we're not having to come back to the well, which is something that aggravates the snot out of me. And like I said, it's best utilized in large projects, and I'm not going to beat on it more than that.
Well, thank you. I thank you for being so well prepared.
Yeah.
Finding good stuff like that. So, committee, we've heard the testimony and questions have been answered. I need to have a motion. To make a motion, a second. Are there any discussion or questions that we can answer? Seeing none, take a vote. Those in favor of passing House Bill 52, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the bill passes. I think you'll be one of the first ones in rules.
Lucky me.
Hear, hear. Chairman Smith would be glad to hear that. And committee, I just hope you just look back just real quick at the expertise that Josh Waller brought right then on the complexness of these contracts that GDOT does. I just really appreciate you being here and that expertise you have. And oh no, just thank you. Also, Madison just wanted me to remind you that if you got the information sheet, please fill it out, because members know that a lot of times I'll text you. If we have like issues come up with a meeting room, or if that are going to happen, or we want to do a special meeting, I know Connor Poe and I talked a moment ago about doing something on railroads, just to update you, especially new members, on how it's funded, what they do. Sometimes I'll text you. We'll send you a written notice, but just to remind you, I'll send you a text. And we try to use that too, because it's more effective. We're all looking at our phones all the time. But other than that, thank you, Mr. Chairman Carson. I know you've been busy.
You missed my vote, John.
We're fixing to hit the gavel. I will save you. I'll fix you to save you from trying to scoot in. But thank you, members, for being here on a Thursday afternoon, and I appreciate your work. Our meeting's adjourned.
Everybody go get on their cell phone and drive home, Carson. Hey, hey.